Hello, hey everyone. Welcome to yet another session of the Kubestronaut check-in series. My name is Mumshad Mohammed, and I'll be hosting this session. If you're here, please do drop a note in the chat window. So we have Shubham. Hi Shubham. We have Ari Bell. We have Arian Goyal. We have Azamat Asmatavov. So hello and welcome to this session. Today we're going to generally check in on where people are. We're just going to look at the progress of the cohort, and we'll also discuss two topics. So last week we talked about priority classes in Kubernetes, and today we're going to continue with that, and we'll also look at multiple schedulers in Kubernetes. So thanks for joining in. And yep, let me just bring up the presentation. All right. So first off, I want to start by congratulating those who have recently completed their certifications. So we have Mahesh Dadi, who is the lead DevOps engineer, who has completed the CKA and is on his journey towards becoming a Kubestronaut. So congratulations to Mahesh. We have Mithilesh Bhavani, who's also completed his CKA certification. Congratulations to Mithilesh. We have Varadha, who's a DevOps consultant, who's also completed her CKA certification. So congratulations to her. We have Teju Naik, who's also completed the CKA exam. We have Tamas Horvat, who's completed the CKS certification. So congratulations to Tamas. We have Rogaina Badruddin, who's completed her CKS certification. So congratulations to Rogaina. She's a senior DevOps engineer at Eventum. We have Bruno Pessoa, who's completed the KCNA certification, and who has completed all 5 CNCF Kubernetes certifications and became a Kubestronaut. So congratulations to Bruno for becoming the latest Kubestronaut. We have Ajit Kumar, who's also completed the KCNA. So now he's left with CKS only to become a Kubestronaut. So congratulations to Ajit. We have Olalekan Oladiran, who's completed the KCNA certification. So congratulations to Olakan, and next one for him is CKAD. So all the best to your CKAD exam. And I also want to shout out to those who have completed a couple of other certifications, not specifically Kubernetes. So Chihab Tricky has completed his Red Hat RSCSA certification. So congratulations to Chihab. Suraj Dubey, who works as an SRE at PwC, has completed his GitHub Actions certification. So congratulations to Suraj. We have Nitin Jagwani, who's completed the Prometheus Certified Associate certification. He's a senior DevOps engineer. So congratulations to Nitin. We have Muhammad Mahmoudi, who's completed the HashiCorp Certified Terraform Associate exam. So congratulations to Muhammad Mahmoudi. We have Mahesh Prabhu, who's a cloud developer SRE, who's completed his HashiCorp Certified Terraform Associate certification. So congratulations to Mahesh. We have Mokit Hussain, who's completed everything that's needed for becoming a golden Kubestronaut. Wow, that's pretty cool. Congratulations to Mokit for completing all the 14 CNCF exams, which includes, of course, both hands-on as well as multiple choice questions. So congratulations, Mokit. It's pretty huge. Okay, so we have some of the new courses that we recently launched for you to check out. So we have the AI 102, the Microsoft Certified Azure AI Engineer certification by Ritin Skaria, which is just hot off the press. Was just released yesterday. So this is the latest AI certification. And so if you're in the Microsoft Azure world and would like to brush up your skills on AI, this is the newest, latest course available. We had also released the Kafka, a course on Kafka very recently, so do check that out. And of course, we had the big one, the AWS Certified SysOps Administrator with Michael Forrester that was recently released, and we have the Cursor AI. We also had the Certified Jenkins Engineer that was recently released, and the Nginx for Beginners course, Certified Backstage Associate course, which will help you to your golden Kubestronaut route, as well as a course on PyTorch. We do have a bunch of courses that are lined up. So we have a NVIDIA Generative AI LLMs Associate Certification course by Jeremy Morgan. We have the Istio Certified Associate course. So Istio, as you probably know, if you're in the golden Kubestronaut track, Istio is one of the tougher exams. So there's one coming up for that. We have a course migrating Jenkins pipelines to GitHub Actions. That's going to come out very soon. So we have 2 courses already. We have a course on Jenkins, we have a course on GitHub Actions, and we're now going to have this course on migrating from Jenkins to GitHub Actions. We also have a AWS SageMaker course coming up, as well as a Managing Kubernetes with Rancher course that's coming up. So the Cohort 1, Path 1, we are currently in end of May. So by now you should be aiming to complete your KCNA certifications. So you should have completed the CKA, CKAD, as well as KCNA certifications by now. And up next would be the CKS, which we're going to have a few months to prepare. If you're on Path 2, then you should be working on starting to work on your CKA right now. So you should have completed the KCNA and CKAD certifications and beginning your CKA journey. So if you go to leaderboard.kodekloud.com, just last week we had closed the applications for the April cohort. So in January we started the first cohort. We had about 870 students enrolled in it, and in April we started the second cohort. We had about 825 students who was enrolled in that. But now, if you have not joined any of these cohorts, you can still join our next one, which starts in July. So every quarter we start a new cohort, and we'll start the next one in July. So just so you know, we have a cohort leaderboard once you join the cohort application, and once you log in, you get to see where you are in that leaderboard. So currently we have 430 that are going through the CKA. Sorry, 339 that are going through the CKA certification, and you can see the remaining, and you can basically see where you are in terms of course progress as well as certification. So we already have about 65 who have completed their certifications or who hold a CKA right now and are on track to completing the remainder of their certification. You can also see the path to the rest of the cohort here. So the goal is to get CKA certified by the 30th of June, and then 31st of July get CKAD certified, and by the end of the year to become a Kubestronaut. We do have a waiting list for the next cohort, which will be starting in July, so join that. But of course, you can start your studies earlier, and you can join in the cohort when the new cohort starts. So that's the cohort 2 that I just spoke about, and in cohort 1, path 1, you should have so this should be part 2. So cohort 1, path 2, you should have completed your KCNA certifications by now. So we have a new email course that we had launched a couple of days ago, last week. So basically, this is just a series of short emails that come straight to your inbox with a summary of whatever you've learned that particular week. So do join the email course at case-email-course at KodeKloud. Cool. So one of the tips that we had been sharing, some of the tips that we've been sharing for the past few months since we started. So always try to hit the milestones no matter what. So just to keep yourself accountable. So don't get stuck on any particular topic. Note those things down and go forward. And then of course, when you come back and revisit those topics, you're going to get, you're going to learn a lot more, and you're going to get unstuck. And then we have a community, so join the Discord community. Use KodeKloud AI for assistance, and always make your first attempt over perfecting it, right? So if you're 80% confident, I would say go ahead and make your first attempt for the exam. So we're this is the 10th check-in session. So the next one's going to be on the 5th of June, a couple of weeks later. And by the way, today is the last day for the sale that's happening at Linux Foundation for the certification. So if you are looking for any particular certification, there is a 50% off happening. So use the May 25 bundle, May 25 bun KK code to get your certification bundles at a 50% off. So this is a really big opportunity if you're aiming for any of the Kubernetes certifications. Cool. So some updates to the courses. So we had made some updates to the CKA and CKS courses the past couple of weeks. So on the CKA course, we've added a new lecture on priority classes as well as a lab. We have updated the article called Working with etcd Cuddle and etcd UTL. There are some updates to the etcd utility. So those have been updated. We've also updated the video on etcd itself with some of the recent updates, right? So earlier you had the V1 and V2 versions of etcd, which behave differently, but now the default is V3. So we have updated the lecture to reflect that, to reduce confusion. There's also some updates made to the backup and restore lab. There was an advanced etcd lab which we have removed from the course as it's kind of no longer needed, which was a little too complicated, and we felt it's better time spent if you learn other things that are now more important. There was also an older lab on Weave. So any networking lab that uses Weave has now been removed, and we have now updated those with Flannel or Calico based networking solutions. There was also a lab that wasn't there for the CRD section of the course, so we've added that as well. In the CKS course, there's the P2P encryption. There's a new lecture added for the P2P encryption with Istio, as well as a new lab that goes well with it. So these are some of the recent updates to the course, and I can say that the course. So we've been keeping the course up to date, and you should be in a better position to get your certifications in. So last week we discussed priority classes. So if you go to, by the way, this is our notes app. So just go to notes.kodekloud.com to get notes for all of our courses. And if you go to the scheduling section, we have a section on priority classes. And this is what we discussed last week. So we have, we spoke about the different classes of priority. So there's this system level that has about a priority around 2 billion. And then we have everything from 1 billion to minus 2 billion, which are the priorities set to the app space. And then we spoke about some commands and to check priority classes. So the kubectl get priority class command to get the existing list of priority classes, and then how to create a new priority class. There's the the priority class definition file for that. We also looked at how to set a priority class name, how to define a priority class name for a particular pod, And we also spoke about the impact or the effect of setting a priority pod priority class for the different on the pod itself, right? So we spoke about how higher pods with higher priority classes are scheduled first, and then the lower priority are scheduled later. We also spoke about preempting. We also spoke about preemption policy, which by default is set to preempt lower priority, and we discussed the impact of that as well. So if it's set to never, then that means that pods with that particular class of preemption policy is set to never will not kind of terminate or evict other pods to then get a higher priority to get themselves placed, right? So instead, they're going to wait until naturally resources are freed up. So you can watch the video here within the course, but today, right now, we're just going to go into the lab, and that's what we did not get to start work on last time. So we'll just wait for the lab to load. Meanwhile, I just want to say, so if you haven't watched the new priority class video, then you can see it right here. It should be highlighted. The new videos that were added and that you haven't watched should be highlighted here. So you can take a look at that. All right. So in this lab, we will learn about priority classes. And the first question is, which of the following priority classes are part of a default Kubernetes setup? So the command to get the existing priority classes is kubectl get priority classes, right? Priority class. All right. So here we see two priority classes. So you have the system cluster critical priority class, and then we have the system node critical priority class. And the question is, which of the following are part of a default Kubernetes setup? So we've learned that in the lecture when the cluster is set up, there are two classes that are created by default, and those are these two. And if you like try to find that here, we can see that it is the system cluster critical class. All right. So the next question is, what is the priority value assigned to the system node critical priority class? So the system node critical priority class is here. Its value is 2 billion and 1,000. So that's this one right here. So the next question is, what is the value of preemption policy in system node critical? So for this, we need to, we can actually see it right here. So we have the preempt lower priority set here. If you'd like to actually see the priority class in more detail, we do a kubectl describe priority class, and then we specify the name of the priority class. And here you can see the additional details. But yeah, we know that from here, we know that it's preempt lower priority. So we're going to select that. By the way, if you have any questions, feel free to drop that in the comments. And another thing is, also, I'd love to know in the future sessions, what would you like me to cover? So please drop those questions as well in the comments, and I'll be happy to check that and include that in the future sessions. Cool. The next question is, create a priority class named high priority, a value of 100,000, and a preemption policy of preempt lower priority, and do not set this class as a global default. So with global default, we also discussed that if the global default value of a priority class is set to true, that means whatever the value is for that, that would be the default priority set for all the pods that do not have a priority class defined. So to get the answer to this question, we'll just do a little bit of an exam prep. So we'll go to the Kubernetes documentation pages and search for pod priority. And here we have priority class, and there's all the information that we spoke about. And here is an example priority class. So we'll just copy this and we'll create a file called high priority.yaml, and we'll paste that. And the name is high priority. So the name is already high priority. The value that's requested here is actually 100,000. So this is a million. So we need to remove a zero from that. So just remove that. And we'll also kind of update the description to say this priority class should be used for, let's just say, high priority service pods only. All right, we'll save that, and then we'll apply that. And we'll do a get priority class. So just make this a best practice. Always verify whatever you do first, especially in the exam too. You want to verify, you want to build this practice of verifying whatever you build exactly right after, right? So the name, this is a high priority, and then you have the value set to 100,000. Global default, it says do not set this class as a global default, so it's set to false. Everything else is fine. So let's just give it a shot. Cool, that's correct. Next. So here it says create another priority class named low priority with a value of 1,000. Do not set this class as a global default. So now what we could do is we'll just copy that file and then create a new file, low priority.yaml. And then we're going to update this to say low priority. And the value for this is just 1,000. So I'm going to remove 2 zeros, make it 1,000. And this priority class should be used for low priority service pods only. I'll just change the description as well. Okay, now I'm going to do an apply, and should be -f low priority. Okay, and then I'm going to verify that. And here you have high priority, which is 100,000, and low priority, and that is 1,000. All right, looks okay to me. Cool, so that's done. The next question is, in the default namespace, create a pod named low prio pod that runs an Nginx image and uses the low priority class. So we're going to do a kubectl run. So we're going to create a pod. So for that, I'll do a kubectl run, and the pod name is low prio pod, and the image used is Nginx. And then we have it says use the low priority class. So we'll get the YAML created, and then we'll update the priority class in that. So for this, what I'm going to do, I don't want to create it right now, so I'll just do a dry run equals client, which means it's not going to actually create. It's just going to see if it can be created, and I'll do an output to YAML. So now I have this pod definition file. I'm going to move that to low prio pod.yaml. Then I'm going to edit that. And how do we specify the priority class here? So for that, we'll go back to the documentation pages and we'll look at this. So this is an example of a priority class. And here we have pod priority. And here we have an example of setting a priority class for a pod. So I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to add that here. And we'll say this is low priority, right? So the priority class name is low priority. I'm going to save that. Let's get that pod created. And now we will verify. So the pod is in a container creating state, and now it's in running state. Now I'll just do a describe pod to verify that it has everything that we had requested for. So you have the name, you have the priority, which is 1,000, the priority class name, which is low priority. Yeah, I think that's good. Cool. Next up, we have a similar exercise. So create another pod in the default namespace called high priority. So we'll just copy. So these questions are just for practice. So we'll copy the low priority pod and make that a high priority pod.yaml. And we're now going to create a pod. We're going to edit the pod definition file, and we'll change it to high priority pod. And then we'll also change here. We'll change the name of the container to high. And we'll change the priority class to high as well. So we have the priority class name is high priority. The name is of the container is high prior pod. The name of the pod itself is high prior pod, and we also have the label set to high prior pod, which is fine. We're going to save that and create that pod. And we'll do a get pods. And we see that it's running. We can do a describe pod just to make sure that I validate, just building that practice of validating things, right? So we have the high priority pod. As you can see, the priority value is set to 100,000, which is the priority value for high priority class. And then you have the high priority class name. Cool, so that's done. And then we have the next question is you can compare the priority classes on both pods using the following command. So you have the kubectl get pods command with the -o option, and you have the custom columns where you have the name property set to metadata.name, and then priority is set to spec.priority class name. By the way, I would love to know how comfortable are you with using the -o and options for custom columns, or using like the JSON path, right? Is that something that you struggle with? We do have some sections in the we do have some lectures about this in the course, but would love to know how comfortable you are with those, and if those are any areas that you would need additional assistance on. And just generally, when you go through the courses or when you are preparing for the certifications, just drop a note here on, what do you think are some areas that you need a little bit more assistance on, and we'd be happy to maybe do a session on that or improve the content or the labs based on your feedback. So do let us know in the chat. All right, so next we have question number 9. The following assets have been provisioned on the environment. So there's a pod named low app, and then there's another pod named critical app. So I'm going to do a kubectl get pod, and as you can see, there's a low app, which is in a running state. And then there's a critical app, which is in a pending state. So the question here is view the pod status using the following command, and which of the following is true? So both pods are in a crash loop backoff. That's not true. Both pods are running. That's also not true, because this is running, this is pending. So the critical app pod is in a pending state, and the low app pod is running, which is the correct answer. So I'm going to select that. So here it says the pod critical app is stuck in a pending state. So let's see why that is. So if you do a kubectl describe pod critical app, we're able to see that at the bottom, we'll see that 0 of 1 nodes are available. So insufficient CPU or insufficient memory. 0 of 1 nodes are available. No preemption victims found for incoming pod. So if you scroll up here, you see that this has a memory limit of 3 GB. But if you look at the requests, you have it requests 1 CPU and 3 GB of memory. So that's the main reason that this app does not have enough resources to place this app, and that's why it's not being placed. It's in a pending state. So let's see what we can do to fix that. So to resolve this situation and get the critical app to a running state, you should assign the high priority class to the critical app. So we want to delete and recreate the pod with the new priority. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the pod, critical app. Then if you go down, you can see, so this is the critical container. You have the priority, which is set to 0. So what we, because there's no default priority class or a priority class defined with the global default value of true, the default priority that's assigned to all the pods is 0. So we're going to delete that line, and we're going to specify a priority class for this pod. So I'm just going to say a priority class name, and I'm going to say it needs high priority. All right, so we're going to save that. Now, when you save that, it would say that it's not able to save it because this is a field that cannot be edited, right? So we cannot, we're not going to be able to, edit certain fields of a pod. So we have to recreate it. So the way, so a way to do that is we're going to delete the pod first. So we'll do a kubectl delete pod critical app. And then the change that we made is saved in this temporary file, even though it was not applied. So we're going to apply that temporary file with the latest change. And then we'll do a get pods and see the status here. And we'll see that now it is in a running state. Just to go through, we'll do a describe pod critical app. And if you go scroll up here, you'll see that the priority class name high priority is set. Now, one other thing you must have noticed is that now there's only three pods. So the low pod that was there earlier is no longer there. That's mainly because this critical app with the higher priority came in, and it's actually just terminated the older pod which has the lower priority. So let's check the work, and you can see that that's completed successfully. All right, so that's that session. Let me just see. Hello and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we look at deploying multiple. Sorry, displayed my own video. All right, so just to take questions, if you'd like, let me just quickly go through. So a future session on VPA. So we actually had a session on VPA a couple of weeks back. So if you'd like to revisit that, you can actually watch that right now. So if you go to our YouTube channel, if you go to some of the older videos or the older live sessions, we actually did a session on HPA and VPA one time. So have a look at that. It has a video, it has a lab and everything. So definitely try that out. There's a request for a course on security in DevOps by Saad Ali. So we do have a course on that. Just so I remember that if you go to all courses, we have a course on DevSecOps, search for security. So this course on DevSecOps, Kubernetes DevOps and security, is actually one that covers a lot of security related topics in much detail. Right? It's a 14-hour course. It has covers everything from secrets, sensitive data, fixing and patching vulnerabilities, building and testing application, all kind of different tests. So static application tests, dynamic application security testing, And it also comes with labs. So we have SonarQube and other tools that are covered in this lab, in this course. So definitely check that out. There's a DevSecOps pipeline section, an entire section that covers Git hooks, talisman introduction. We have mutation tests, SonarQube, vulnerability basics, dependency checks, tree image scans, and a bunch of Kubernetes related tests as well, OWASP and Tree and all of that. So yeah, this is one that I would highly recommend if you're looking into, if you're interested in anything to do with security in DevOps. So Archaea, Aratia says struggling with storage, physical PVs and PVCs. So that's something probably I could pick as a session for the next topic. We do have a bunch of videos and labs around PVs and PVCs. If you can share a little bit more around what area is it that you're struggling with, I'd be happy to cover that on our next check-in session. Meanwhile, we also have a section for that in the CK course. So not very comfortable with custom columns. So I'm thinking of maybe doing something around JSON path and custom columns, if that's something you're interested in. So that could be one of our future sessions where we could actually build something around that. So Dinesh shares about a story about failing the attempts in 2024. So there's been some updates to the exam as well as the course recently. So there was an update in about around September, October last time, and then there was another update in February. So we have updated the course, but I think the best way to get hands-on experience is to do the labs, right? So we have about 40 or 50 labs, as well as mock exams and the ultimate mock exams. So definitely try that. I know it's not it's not always success stories. So thank you for sharing your experience. But the more time you spend on the labs and mock exams, I think that's really the way to go. But yeah, all the best, Dinesh, and I'm sure the next time you'll definitely crack it. So failed my last attempt last month. Material was to study. Been going through this course 3 weeks. Testing tonight. Well, all the best, Splash. I really hope you get through this time. Yeah, and let us know when you do. Haven't used custom columns in JSON path, just not much experience using it. Yeah, so it can be a bit tricky. The JSON side of things, if you're not, I think it's more of a developer kind of area. But yeah, just understanding the basics and with a little bit of practice, you should be able to figure that out. Sorry, I kind of missed this one while I was showing the lab. Priority class was assigned to all nodes. I think there was one of the your question regarding one of the. I hope I answered that during the lab. Storage. Your request for your example database. Yeah, I think what Yasin is trying to ask here is your request more around, I guess, stateful storage, or things like that, hosting databases on Kubernetes. If that's the case, just let us know in the chat. So Azure DevOps, building Docker images, pushing to ACR. I thought we had a course on Azure DevOps. So there's Azure Kubernetes Service. There's the Azure Data Fundamentals, AZ. Yeah, I remember we had this. So we do have the AZ400 course. This is the designing and implementing Microsoft DevOps solutions. From my understanding, this does cover designing and implementing pipelines in Azure, design and implement deployments, maintaining pipelines. So yeah, do check this out. I think this should cover what you're requesting for, and let us know if it doesn't. Yeah, or replace with the force command. Yes, I could have done that too when I did the lab. That's another option. Worker node troubleshooting. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that's something we can pick next time. CKAD course on Udemy. So foundational level Azure, GCP, and AWS courses. Yeah, I think we definitely have that, right? So if you go to our courses, or if you go to our learning paths, we have each of these has the foundation level courses, right? So this is the AWS learning path, and the first one is the cloud practitioner, which is the latest cloud practitioner. So this is the fundamental course for that. If you go to the Azure learning path, we have the AZ900, which is a Microsoft Azure fundamentals. So as well as the AZ104, the Microsoft Azure administrator course. So that's the beginner level, the basic level course for that. We also should have the one for GCP. So there's the GCP Cloud Digital Leader certification, and this is the basics version of the Google course. So yeah, we should have that. So do check it out. So Strepsil says, thanks for the work on the security course. I'm currently taking that, and as an absolute beginner, I'm able to follow your lectures easily. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate it. A course with using Azure DevOps would be great, like building Docker images. Yeah, I think that's what I shared. You should definitely take a look at that. The Azure DevOps, the AZ400 course. So OpenStack, would love to know if that is something that you'd be interested in. I think we have received a few requests in the past, but I would say not enough. So would love to know if that is something you all would be interested in watching. So if you go to request.kodekloud.com, you basically be able to see this list of this board that we have where you can request courses. And if you see, we've been basically picking our next course based on this. So if you have any requests, do go here and upvote that. So most of the new ones, or most of the top requested ones are already out. So the Azure DevOps is there. There's Jenkins course. We have a couple of Jenkins course right now. The AWS Solutions Certified Solutions Architect is there. The DevOps Engineer Professional. This is something that is in the works. As you can see, it's one of the most requested courses. So we're actually working on this right now, and we should have this out in a month or two. And apart from that, the ELK, the Prometheus Certified Associate, Argo CD, all of these are courses that we currently have. The end-to-end projects. So I think this is what you were referring to. We do have the certification course, but yeah, would love to know end-to-end projects. We definitely need to check if the course covers that. So yeah, definitely go here and help us build our future courses. So when are the projects coming to KodeKloud Engineer? So if you go to engineer.kodekloud.com, in case anyone is not aware, So this is our kind of what I call the job simulation platform. So this is our job simulation platform. So you basically get like one task assigned to you every day. You have like a virtual manager and virtual project, and you can pick some of these active curriculums by course or by level, and you get to add it to your practice, and you get a bunch of tasks that are assigned to you that you can then click on start and then just actually do the task, and we kind of validate if you did that correctly. We also have a leaderboard that shows that has a tracking and by different levels. So once you gain 25,000 points, you get promoted to different levels, and then so you go from a systems administrator to junior DevOps engineer to senior DevOps engineer. So you get promoted along. One of the things I had mentioned earlier was that we were going to add something called as a projects here. So that's coming soon. But one of the other things that are going to come out very soon is called 100 Days of DevOps. That's going to start sometime in June or July, where you would get like one task a day every day for 100 days that you would kind of all do together. So that would be something that's something now we're working on. So I guess once that's done, the next thing that we would be releasing would be projects on KodeKloud Engineer. So if you have any ideas for that, do share, and we'd be happy to consider that while we build out projects. So recommendation for upskilling while working full time. I know that's a bit of a challenge, right? You have a full-time job, but you also need to stay up to date. The full-time job itself covers, it can be hectic depending on where you're working. But unfortunately, we have to figure out time to, some extra time to do kind of what I called homework, right? Like when we were in school, what we did was like we were at school during the day, but we had to come home and do a little bit of homework, and that's the only way that we that we can like go to take ourselves to the next level, right? Or when it's time for exams, we actually sit through the weekends and study. I don't think that's changed much now, right? Now that we're adults and we're working at a company full time, but I guess we still have that duty of the homework, right? Going home and learning in your own time at your own pace. So I don't think that goes away. That's true for like let's say you're an athlete or a football player. You go train during the day, but then it's really the one-on-one time that you have with the ball, or with the time that's you spend alone practicing. That's what really sets you apart from the others, and that's what pushes you to the next level. So I guess that's true for what we do too, right? In the tech world, in the IT world, we do have the day job, but I guess we have to figure out ways to set aside an hour or two, either in the evenings or mornings, depending on how you set your work schedule, or during the weekends. Find out a couple of hours that you can spend to learn, and I guess that's super important. And I think with everything that's happening right now, it is more important than ever to keep ourselves up to date. And if you're not sure, like what's happening in the industry that you're in and how it's going to change, I think and nobody's sure about that. But I think the one thing that you can do for yourself is to just make sure that you're learning the latest thing and keeping yourselves up to date. So no matter how the industry shifts, you're ready with the latest technology, right? You don't know when the next opportunity is coming. So just keep yourself ready and be prepared by continuing to learn. And I guess that's what I do, myself, finding ways to finding somehow a couple of hours a day to just train your mind and keep yourselves up to date with the latest that's happening. So the cloud playgrounds, there are some restrictions, but over the past couple of months, we've removed a lot of restrictions, and we've changed the way that we've been providing access to users. So you should have seen a lot of improvement in the past couple of months on access to the resources. But know that because these are educational for educational purposes, we cannot like allow hosting big services, right? Like you can't have big VMs, or you can't have things that consume a lot of cost, because if you leave it running, then it's actually going to be a lot of cost for us. But you should still be able to do a lot of things, right? You should be able to deploy smaller VMs, multiple VMs at a time. You should be able to deploy a lot of services. I think today we have close to 100 services in AWS. So if you go to Cloud Playgrounds, and so if you go to the Playgrounds page, you should be able to launch the Playgrounds from here. But there is a list of services that you can that you have access to, right? So for example, EC2, you can do T2 nano, micro, small, T3 nano, T2 medium. So you can even deploy medium instances, and you get access to it for a couple of hours. There are different operating systems that are supported. You have access to AWS Lambda. You have access to Elastic Beanstalk. You have access to Image Builder. You have access to container services like ECS, EKS, storage services, S3, EBS, EFS, database, DynamoDB, RDS. We have data services like Athena, Redshift, Glue, EMR. We have code build and code deploy. So you should have access to all of this in terms of monitoring and management, CloudWatch, CloudTrail. So you should basically have access to like over 100 services for AWS, as far as I know. There are some restrictions that you can see. The more details are there, but mostly we restrict like really large instances, right? Which can like consume a lot of cost in a very short period of time. If you look at Google, similarly, we have a lot of services. So we have Compute Engine E2 N2 series. We have GKE Kubernetes engines. We have a lot of database services, and similarly for Azure too. We have a lot of services that you can see here. So let me know more specifics about if you have any specifics about any services that aren't available. So just write to us at cloudlabs@kodekloud.com. So that's cloud-labs@kodekloud.com, and my team should be on that and get back to you on that very, very soon. So it's a question about taking self notes while going through the CKA, CKAD courses. So we had received a lot of these requests recently, which is why we created something like this. This is what we call as our note platform. And you're able to see like all of our courses here. And if you pick a course, you'll be able to see the notes from all of those courses. So this is one way where you can access notes pretty quickly, and it's also searchable. So you can search for, let's say, a particular topic, and you should be able to find that here. So in the list that's listed here, and so it's easily searchable. You can copy the code easily from here. And it also has some screenshots and things that are from the lecture. So that's one option, but it's also a best practice. It's also recommended to create your own notes. So be it Google Docs or something, where you can write down areas that you're not very familiar with, right? So or that you need to revisit later. So I would highly recommend having your own kind of notes as well. So is the CKA course plus ultimate exam enough to pass new version of CKA? So ideally, yes, right? So we've been adding more content to the exam, more content to the course based on the changes in the exam. The ultimate exams should be, if you are able to pass all of that, ideally you should be ready for the exam. So roadmap are a bit difficult for the courses to choose. Roadmap tree is confusing. I'd love to know a little bit more about that. If you could share a little bit more about what is the specific roadmap or learning path that you're looking at, and what's the confusion, I would be happy to help you pick the right roadmap or the learning path. So do share a bit more about that when you can. So Aryan has a question. So after completing CKA and working day-to-day on Kubernetes environment, how much effort will it take to clear CKS? So the CKS exam is a little bit more on the security side. So if you've never worked on security side, there's a little bit to learn. But I think that is super important, right? Like learning the security side of things. Right from the developer developing the application from that phase to securing the CI/CD pipelines, to securing the images that you build, to securing the deployment, to securing the cluster itself, as well as the orchestrator within the cluster, and then how you expose the application to the external world. How do you secure that? So I think this is a super important topic that a lot of people overlook. That is, to be honest, a little bit boring, right? Because it's you're not really building something, you're securing it, which, unless I guess you're a born security person, you're not. It's not something that's coming to you automatically, right? So it requires a little bit of effort, but it is super necessary. I think it's a very important thing to learn about the security best practices and keep yourselves up to date with the latest in security, and that's why the CKS exam is very important. So, and I think this it starts from it is important for everyone, right? So the developers developing the application, to the sysadmins who are building and managing the clusters, to those who are operating, those who are architecting and operating the clusters as well. So I would highly recommend the CKS exam, because it kind of pushes you to learn the things that you have not already learned, a lot of it, most of the time for most people. And that kind of pushes you to learn and keep yourselves up to date with the security side of things. So it's a little bit of a harder exam, but I think it's worth it, especially considering everything that's happening right now. You can see like posts coming out for where people like are wipe coding and releasing applications without security, and I think that's where it's super important to learn some of the basics and make sure the stuff that you build, either with AI, you consider security. So I would highly recommend that to everyone, even if you're not aiming for the exam, just to gain knowledge. I would highly recommend CKS. So if you're already, just to answer your question, if you're already CKA and you're working on day-to-day on Kubernetes environment, it might take you definitely another month or two, depending on how fast you learn, right, to prepare for the CKS exam. It's almost like preparing for a new exam. There's a lot of new topics, right? So there's not much of an overlap, maybe 20% of an overlap with CKA, but there's a lot of things that are completely new. Cool. Just checking if there's anything that I might have missed. So should we take CKAD without writing the CKA? That's also possible, right? So the CKAD is comparatively an easier exam compared to CKA. So if that's something you're interested in doing first, then I would highly recommend you go with the CKAD. It's an easier one. So once you crack that, you'd get a bit more of confidence, and then you can use that to then aim for the CKA. So that's completely fine too. I would, if you would like to go for that, definitely do. Eduardo says, your platform offers a wealth of knowledge and excellent lab practices. That's very insightful. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Eduardo. Really appreciate the nice comments. We're working very hard to keep our courses up to date and building new lab experiences and building hands-on experiences. So yeah, it really makes my day to hear comments like this. Well, I think we're at the end of our time. Well, thank you so much. If you have ideas or if you have any requests for the future sessions, if there are things that you'd like me to cover in a bit more detail than what's already in the course, or if you want anything that it must be added that you feel is lacking in the course and needs to be added, definitely let us know. You can reach me on LinkedIn and send me a message. Well, thank you so much for your time, everybody. And until next time, goodbye. And I'll see you in about 2 weeks from now. All right.